I don't have too many questions as I saw the intro for the new unit this morning, so it's
Hmm.
too early. But I would say that a lot of people is going to probably ask what is the overall benefit from the RS4 over the RS2 Plus or the RS3. Obviously, there's difference there, but is
Hmm.
there any benefit of upgrading or changing them? That's kind of one of my questions.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And that's one of the core things. We'll definitely go over that. And if I miss anything, yeah, please follow up and we'll talk through it. But yeah, that'll be one of the main things. It'll be, RX versus RX2, and then RS3 versus RS4 and RS4 Pro. And yeah, maybe even talk about some of the combinations. Like, should I use RS3 as a base and all of that? So yeah, we'll get into it. Yeah, let's just get going right now then. So last announcement, raise your hand if you want to jump in and ask a question, either via unmuting yourself or through there's a chat box that opens up after you raise your hand, and Pat lets you in. He has to press a button, but he'll keep an eye on it. So yeah, I'm gonna just share my screen, and I'm kind of assuming everybody has some familiarity with the Emlid products. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, cool. So, all right. So we'll kick it off just with the RX versus RX2. There's not a huge difference there. So it's still a network rover only. Still you hook it up, you get corrections over an N-trip network. There's no lower radios, no UHF radios, no nothing. You don't run it as a base station. You can't log static data. So it's just a network rover, still MFI certified. So that means, like, biggest thing is for our field maps customers on iOS. So it will work field maps on iOS. So what's new? Number one, the GNSS engine is new. So it's whole new engine, which Emlid's really maintained the same U-Blocks chip for 6 years now. So it's kind of cool that there's finally something new. Not that the old one was all that bad, but now we have L5, and now we have L6 as well, and all the channels and all the frequencies, and everybody's happy. We check all the boxes, and not only checking the boxes, but it's also does improve performance in wooded areas, especially, or urban environments. In both cases, yeah, the more bands, the better. So we're very excited for that improvement, and also this L band corrections. So that'll be more on, like, the GIS end, where it's 10 centimeters roughly, and you're happy. And this is, no internet needed. You set your RX up, convergence time is like 30 seconds, I believe, and then you'll get down to that 10 centimeter mark. So it's a nice little tool. It's not, the service itself isn't available till March. All the hardware is ready to go. It's just a matter of the service being up and running in the US. So that'll be an interesting feature. I don't know. I know we saw a presentation from the guys, Emlid dealer in Brazil, and they've been using L-band corrections in the jungle with threes, because they have like a special, they have service down there. So the L-band correction for them was pretty interesting, because they're, number one, it was like a lower threshold to get to that 10 centimeters in terms of like signal to noise ratio. Like, they were in some deep jungle and we're still able to get sub 10 centimeters, where I don't know that you could have even gotten RTK correction and RTK fix at that point. So it's kind of interesting. It's like, okay, we can get sub 10 centimeters even in really, really tough environments. So it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know that it fits, it certainly doesn't fit everybody. Certainly, probably not most of our surveying and engineering customers. But it's out there, and it'll be, like I said, available here in March. That's that L-band correction. There will be a subscription. I'm not sure what the pricing will be on that. I assume it's going to be pretty pretty cheap. I think it's going to be less than, you know, a typical RTK network or N-trip network, but we'll see. And then on to the other new part of the RX2, which is the IMU. And not only it's not the same as the RS3, it's a brand new Gen 2 IMU from Emlid. It's faster than the RS3's version, and yeah, that's kind of that. I mean, in terms of, you know, speed, it's like, I think twice as fast. You know, I forget what it is, from 15 seconds down to 7 seconds for that first initialization, and everything on the IMU helps. You know, every upgrade is going to make a big difference if you're using the IMU, because you'll know, you know, if you use the RS3, you know, tilt's great, but sometimes, you know, you'll be, let's say, standing still for 15-20 seconds, and it, you know, at that point the IMU wants to move, so it'll lose its initialization, then you got to start it up again. So that little bit should help. Or, you know, coming in and out of tree cover, or up against, you know, in that urban environment where maybe you're in and out of fix, you know, improving that IMU is going to improve just the usability of it in general, instead of, you know, being in those situations where you say, well, tough environment, I'm just going to turn my IMU off because it's more pain than help. I think in more situations we'll be able to keep that on and utilize it. So that's pretty cool. And the quick release compatible threads. So all the new gear, they'll have it's a 5/8 thread. It'll fit on any rod, but it also has kind of this, you know, special, I don't know what you call it. It's a quick release compatible with Emlid's quick release. So it's a little, yeah, the quick release adapter's got a little button on it, and it's just like it sounds. Push of a button and twist it off, instead of twisting off with threads. Pricing didn't change much here. It went up $200. The RX, you know, that'll be phased out as our expectation. I don't know that we can. Yeah, I think they might have some more stock. I'm not sure how that'll be. I know we have a handful or more of RXs on the shelf, so we'll still, I'll sell those at $21.99. But moving forward, I think long term, and again, you know, everything's subject to change, but, you know, Emlid could decide, you know, we're going to keep it for some reason. I don't know, but as far as I know, it sounds like that's going to be phased out. Everything will be RX2. And yeah, again, just a couple $100 difference there. So hopefully that's not too painful for everybody. That's it on the RX side. So yeah, let's jump into the RS3, 4, and 4 Pro. 3's obviously been around for a while, but yeah, we'll go to the 4 first. So redesign from the ground up. We've got a new body, and you see this kind of you know, blindfold over it, this bumper, which is, you know, cheap, disposable, to, you know, protect against you know, a fall from a tripod. So it's something kind of interesting. I don't know. It's I think something everybody should have, even though it's like, you know, you shouldn't plan on dropping your stuff, but if you do, it's nice to have a little bit of added protection. So that's kind of the first thing that comes to that I see. Okay, cool. Pat's answering questions in the chat. Perfect. New radios. So we'll have, there's 2, yeah, it's all new radios. So the 915 lower radios, those are upgraded output power. So those are going to be more powerful. And there's also a new LoRa protocol that's supposed to help with communication as well. So we have, yeah, just if you just want to continue using LoRa radios, great. These are going to have better, longer range. You know, that's always a tough thing, right? Like, oh, how much more range? And we've seen some tests, and there's not, you know, it's tough. There's not much you can say other than it's better. And then there's also these 2-watt, 450 megahertz radio. So the RS3s, they always had a 450 receive radio, but now you can transmit 450 from the RS4s. And that is, in terms of, you know, which one should I use? For us in the US, it's like, you know, use your 915. Well, let's start off with the 915 450 range are pretty similar. I think 950 15 beat it out on the test we were shown. So in terms of, which frequency should I use? Well, if you're just saying I'm, in a normal situation, just use the 915. It's a license-free radio frequency, and it has, if anything, a little better range than the 450. But then obviously if you're saying, oh, well, I've got a 450 license, I have other 450 radios that or receivers that I use, then you can use your RS4 as a base and then hook up to maybe different brands of receivers, or maybe it's RS3s that you want to use 450 for some reason. But it's just like, the overall, the 915 radios, the lower radios are improved, which is nice. And there's also more flexibility with the radios for using it as a base or a rover with other brands. So a lot more flexibility on the radio side, which is nice. Same all band GNSS receiver that's in the RX. That's, L1, L2, L5, everything. And the RS4, also what they did here, and they might have done this on the RX. We should have got this earlier, but we didn't. Anyway, the RS4, they could have done two things, really, is what they talk about. It's like three things. One is we can buy a cheap antenna off the shelf, and it's pretty good. And that's one way of keeping the cost low and having a really good receiver at the lowest possible cost. And then the another option is buy a really expensive antenna that's dedicated for this receiver. And that's great. You could buy that off the shelf again, but it's really going to raise your price. And the third option is design and build your own antenna. And that kind of solves both problems of keeping it lowest cost possible, but designing it for this new U-Blox chip so that it has maximum performance. And that's what they did, which is awesome. Just to have, peak antenna performance at a lowest possible price. So really excited about that, because that's going to mean, not only do you see the bands, but it's also even let's say the L1, L2 bands, you're going to have a better, you're going to have a better filtering and a better reception of those signals themselves. So it should help in every case, in terms of, mostly tree canopy. We're talking in urban environments where that comes into play. Out in the wide open, doesn't matter what you use, it's just going to work. So that's the big thing we're really excited about, I'd say. Also has that quick release compatible threads. And again, just for that quick release adapter, still the same 5/8 threads on the RS4. It'll still screw on to every pole you got out there. Upgraded IMU, we already talked about the RX a little bit. So the RS3 had the IMU. RS4 IMU is better, quicker to initialize and reinitialize. And now the nice thing is these RS4s, RS4 Pros, are also MFI certified. And again, that's just a big thing if you're an Apple user who likes to use third-party apps like Field Maps. Now you're going to be able to have some more flexibility. You could use RS4 or RX. You're not kind of forced into the RX2. So base rover over radio, now you can use Field Maps for that, which is, again, just something nice to have, nice option. RS4 Pro has everything the RS4 has, and also has these factory calibrated cameras. So basically two functions with that. Augmented reality stakeout. So you'll see a live screen, and you can kind of see it in the small screenshots below where you can see the line on a camera, and you can kind of follow it that way. So it's kind of just really an improvement to stakeout speed, and especially for people who don't stick out very often, should speed things up for them, be a little easier to manage. And the other thing you'll see that the other feature you get with these cameras is the visual capture. So it's like basically photogrammetry attached to your GPS. So you takes a bunch of pictures, and then you'll get your your pictures, and you'll choose, hey, I want this point on the wall or whatever, and it'll give you your coordinate based on those. So, our thought is, okay, well, if you've got an overhang, like let's say a porch, you're doing residential and you want to get a building corner, but it's all wrapped around and covered, and you really can't get in there and shoot that point because everything's covered over top. So if everything's blocking it, great, I can, shoot these pictures from around where I do have GPS signal, and then I'm able to select, the corner of a house. And that's, it's tough. I mean, I don't know of a ton of use cases for it, but it's sort of like tilt. Like, I don't know yet. I know there's some obvious ones, but you'll also just have a more flexible tool in general. It's like another thing in the toolbox that I have. If I only use it once every 6 months or once every 10 jobs, okay, great. Well, at least I didn't have to pull out this other tool or call somebody else in to grab a total station to shoot a reflectorless shot or something like that. So, I don't know that I can't think of a million uses off the top of my head, but hopefully it just saves you from pulling out some other tool at some point in time. Here's a chart of stuff. Yeah, but just kind of laying out the differences. So on the RS3 4 Pro, again, radios are upgraded on the 4 and 4 Pro. They're higher power and they're also more versatile. Correction input, nothing's different. We receive everything. Everything's compatible with every lower radio back and forth. You could use RS3 as a base, RS4 as a rover. Tilt compensation, again, upgraded on the 4s. Positioning, this is just that GNSS, that U-Blox chip in it. We're going from the older chip, which we liked, to a newer chip with L5 and all the bands and more channels, and great. We should do better in tree canopy because of it. And then battery is still maintaining the days long batteries. Internal battery still along with that. Still have that or even upgraded IP protection. Which I don't know what the second number is. Either way, still waterproof and dust proof. And then lastly, that AR visual capture sensor that's only on the RS4 Pro. Okay, I think we're rolling to the end of it. Oh, just go through. Yeah. Okay. The RS3, that's still going to be around as far as we know for the time being and on. Still a great tool. Still at the $29.99 price. You probably already have used it, or an RS2, which is really similar. So you should have a good idea of what that's capable of, which is, it's strong everywhere. It may not be the top of the line under tree cover, which is what the RS4, one of the things the RS4 solves. And, the IMU, it's, not quite as good as the RS4, but there's plenty of people who really still like the RS3 and the tilt that it offers. So still a really good tool, still at that $3,000 price point, it's really hard to beat. So yeah, but if you want, if you're one of those guys that says, well, sometimes I am in tree cover, or sometimes I am in heavier, urban environments where everything counts. I don't want to ever pull out my total station for any reason. Then yeah, the RS4 makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that has that all band GNSS receiver with the integrated antenna designed by Emlid. It has those L-band corrections. It's an MFI. It has the MFI certification for the third-party iOS apps. More durable with the bumpers, even without. Well, I don't know if without it's any more durable, but with those bumpers, that should make it basically fall-proof. It's just as versatile as the RS3. It doesn't lose anything from that side of things. And again, we talked about it twice already, but radios, more flexible radios, more powerful radios. And then backwards compatible with the RS2 and RS3 lower radios. So yeah, just to talk about that a little bit, to maximize the RS4 performance, you would want an RS4 base and RS4 rover, so that both receivers are seeing all the same bands, and that's the biggest thing. They both receiving the same bands. If you use the RS3 as a base station, then you're effectively disabling the RS4's L5 band. You know, so everything, because it doesn't share the same signal. So in an ideal world, two RS4s or RS4 Pros, that's the best way to get the best signal out of your rover, or the best, you know, best stability in general in tree canopy situations, especially. And then, you know, still though, if you use it in RS2 or an RS3 as a base with the RS4, you still should see some improvement under tree canopy and in these urban environments because of the just increased performance of the antenna itself. So its ability to receive even the same signals, it does a better job of receiving those signals. So you will receive performance, an increase in GNSS positioning performance, even with an RS3 as a base, but with the RS4 as a base, that's going to maximize your chance of getting good results in tree cover. Keaton, are you? Oh, okay. Looks like you're good. And then
want the estimated or the total cost or anything?
1 second. Keaton, are you? Oh, okay, you muted. Okay, that's fine. And then you could run, you could run an RS3 as a rover, RS4 as a base. I don't know. The only real advantage there is you have a more powerful base radio. So, I think in most scenarios you're going to run the RS3 as a base, RS3, RS2 as a base, and RS4 as a rover, if you have that kind of goofy combination. But trade in your RS3, RS2, get 2 RS4s, and that'll be your best. You'll have the best time by having a pair of RS4s for sure. 4 Pro gives you everything, gives you the AR stakeout and the cameras for that visual collection. And that's just going to be, another cool feature, another tool in your toolbox that hopefully comes in handy. I don't know. Again, there's not much to say about that other than, those hard to reach places, just another tool where maybe you can get another shot. You don't have to pull out your total station for one more thing. And here's just a quick breakdown of like what everything's got. RX2, just a network rover. That's all it is. It's going to receive entropy corrections. Has tilt compensation now, the new Gen 2. And it's got the quick release adapter in the MFI. RS4 Pro both have that MFI, and then the RS3 does not. RS3 is not quick adapter compatible. And the RS3 has lower power radios, slightly worse IMU and GNSS engine and receiver. And that's it. That's the lineup, I believe. Yep, we're all set. So with that, we'll just open it up. And I know Pat's been answering questions on the chat. But also at this point, feel free to, I guess, just keep them coming there. And that's probably as good as anywhere. So Pat's on it. Cool. And I mean, just go through the chat, or if you have a longer question, feel free to unmute and just jump in and ask too. That's fine.
Hey Joe, quick question. On the RS4, is it still going to have a spot for a SIM card? Or yes, for our for internet connection? Is that how that works still?
Correct. Yeah, still a cell modem with a SIM card spot. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I know Pat's looks like he's been answering a lot of questions throughout here, so that's good. Hopefully we knocked out most of them, but we'll stick around. Yeah, if once we don't have a question for the next 2 minutes at a time, then maybe we'll shut it down, but we're in no rush either, so feel free to ask away.
I heard from somebody, and I can't confirm the statement that Emlid supposedly is going to be offering repair services.
Yeah. So it'll be at least they're kind of opening that up a little bit now. So you might have seen we put out an email, hey, the RS3s and RS2s, we're now doing shell replacements with OEM shells, and we can also do antenna replacements on those as well. And the RS4 and 4 Pro, I think I know we've talked about it. I know they said, hey, it's, you know, sort of, yeah, it's repairable, and that's, we fully expect it to be, and I think we'll definitely be a repair shop for them. I don't know if we'll be the only one in the US, but we'll definitely offer, yeah, every repair they let us do or that we're capable of otherwise.
Okay, thanks. And will the RS2 Plus and RX, well, you mentioned already the RX is going to fade out, but what about the RS2 Plus?
Yeah, we expect it to fade out. With that said, you know, they could change their mind on that. Who knows? I think there was another point I expected it to get faded out too, and it ultimately didn't. So I don't know. You know, I don't know 100%, but I would say, yeah, I would expect the RS2 Plus to go away. Glenn Chor asked, the RS2 used as a base with the RS4 Pro as a rover. Yes, you can do that. Like I mentioned before, you still see you don't maximize your performance under tree canopy because the RS2 doesn't have all the signals, but you can use your RS2 as a base, RS4 as a rover, no problem there. L-band corrections require subscription. The L-band corrections will require subscription. That's going to be available in March. I don't know the fee on that yet. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be like. I think it's going to be pretty cheap. I'm assuming like $50 a month, but I don't know for sure. Danny asks, any idea how the visual capture will work or anticipated accuracy? We expect it, you know, basically it's like start, and we've seen it. We were in Budapest with them last month or 2 months ago. So we have seen it live, and it is basically, it takes a bunch of pictures, or like you start visual capture, takes pictures, 5-10 pictures, and then you select the point and it gives you the coordinate. Now it works, it's photogrammetry. So, you know, we're pretty comfortable with that. It's, you know, it's a matter of resolution, resolution, pixel size, but essentially we're expecting it to be, you know, basically GPS accurate. So about 1/2 inch horizontally is typically what we're expecting in terms of accuracy on that. Let's see. Todd asked, can you chat about trading options to upgrade RS4? Yeah, we're taking trades on everything for the RS4. You know, it varies in range in terms of, you know, what condition it's in, but, you know, shoot us a picture and we'll say, hey, yeah, it looks like we can give you this much for it, assuming it works, and then we'll just, you know, put that as a credit towards your purchase. And, you know, along those same lines. So RS4s, RS4 Pros, $100 on we have a pre-order product page. $100 puts you in line for those. The RS4s are coming out in December, or I'm sorry, we'll be shipping in December. So that's, yeah, we're requiring $100 to just put yourself in line. And then RX2, those will be out later this month. So we just regular product page. If you want to order those right away, great. But there's no special pre-order page, just through the product page itself. All those on the pre-order side, you know, order soon and you get a free quick release adapter as well. Cool. And then RS4, even RC, can you run in off like magnet field or other programs? Yeah, probably not. You know, magnet field, there was one version that I knew of that allowed you to pull in an EMA stream, which is just like a position stream from any receiver can send out. But even then it was like, I don't know, magnet field 5.2, and then 5.21, they got rid of it. So, you know, most software doesn't like to do it. I would say the only one that I know of like really actively works on it and wants to integrate well with Emlid is Microsurvey's Field Genius. They're the only ones I know of that integrated the RS3's tilt compensation, which is fairly recent. There was all took them a while, but ultimately they have that fully integrated now. So I'd expect them to integrate it, but I don't expect, TopCon's not going to do it. They're at best, you'll get them to, you might they might unlock the NEMA stream for you, and then you can just send your position data from the rover, but it won't have any tilt compensation. You won't get you won't get those features that you have in Emlid Flow is all. Bumper protective cover have an effect on the accuracy of the RX. The RX, as far as I know, I haven't seen any bumpers for the RX. I don't think we'll get that. But the bumpers for the 4 and the 4 Pro, we surely don't expect any accuracy degradation because of it. I think, that would be crazy to me if that was an oversight where they just like, whoops, we screwed that up. Like I'm hopeful, and I haven't thought about it yet, but I think that antenna probably sits above the bumper is my hope, so that there's no blocking of any signal whatsoever. I know, and they do think about these things too. It's like even the quick release adapter, they're like, well, you can go out and you can get quick release adapters, but it's like it changes things with the IMU depending on the adapter, and it's like they're like there's just these little things that add all little bits of error here and there. So he's like, so it's, you'd think a quick release adapter, it's like, oh, no big deal, that's easy, but it's like they think about these things, they test them, and it's like, okay, this quick release adapter adds no error or minimal. So bumpers, I gotta believe that they didn't screw that up. I think we'll be safe there.
With a question on those quick releases they're going to offer, so like I don't use a meter pole, I use a survey foot pole. Is there going to be like an option in Emlid where you can say, hey, I'm using the quick release, so that then if you have a 5.5 rod, you're not going to have to adjust every time for that. I think it said it was like a tenth and a half, or have you heard anything on that? Or?
Yeah, that's going to be built into the app, just like you said.
Okay.
You'll just check a box, say I'm using a quick release adapter.
Okay. And then you're still able to use it without, if you want.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Indeed. Okay, Austin Troyer, RS4 as a rover be better under tree canopy than RS3. Yeah, RS4 as a rover will be better under tree canopy than the RS3 base rover combo. And that's the number one, better GNS engine, seeing more satellite signals. Number two, better antenna designed specifically for that engine. How much better is always a tough thing. But the one thing I'll say is, they did the presentation and they showed us some data from, this test they did in the tree cover. And it was like, oh, here's where we got to fix in this area, and we didn't get a fix in this area. So it's like, clearly it was better. I don't know. It's like if they had a fix in 75% with the 3, then with the 4, it was like, 92%. It's hard to quantify. But the RS4 will definitely be better under tree canopy. We're hoping we get one before December or 2 before December, so that we can do a bunch of tests while the leaves are still on the trees here in Ohio. If not, we'll do it in the pines, whatever. But we're going to do as many tests as we can to understand how much better it is. And, hopefully we'll get some participation. I think we'll try to put it up against some other brands too, to give you another data point. So we'll see. It's better. How much better is always a tough question. It's like range, right? It's like, yeah, you're going to get more range, but it completely depends on your environment. But yeah, we're excited for it. That's one of our biggest things we're excited for, is just having what we think is a top of the line receiver and antenna. Cool.
Hey, Joe, it's Mike Gilly.
Yeah. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, I'm focused on drone-based use of Emlid products today. I'm using the RS3, and in the training class, I been doing for thermal imaging and building envelope investigations with cameras. I wanted to include a little more tutorial having to do with the use of both base station as well as base station and rover from Emlid for setting up ground control points.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if there's any good tutorial information, especially that then could apply to the new product that has the better features for under canopy.
Yeah. So I would say maybe take them separately. I think right now, in terms of ground control points, I think if we have a customer and he's like, hey, I'm a drone mapper, I'm looking to be a base for my drone and to collect ground control points, I would say the RS3 is a perfect choice. 4s can do it, sure, but ground control points, typically you're going to be in an open area because your drone's going to need to be able to see the targets. So, the RS3 is probably still our first choice for that, in terms of tree and in terms of videos out there. There's some. I mean, we have at least one I can think of that Pat has up on our resource page. That's like a start to finish. I think it's Zenus L2 with ground control points, but that gives you like a whole look at how we collect ground control points with the L2. And Pat can put up a link or tell me I'm wrong. Pop in if you want, Pat. But I think we have something there. In terms of what to do in tree canopy. We're gonna do like. I'd say we'll likely right now, or in the past, we had like an RS3 demo video where we just like showed off the new features, went under tree canopy, and that's the idea with the RS4. We're going to have a whole video like just putting these features not to the test so much as just showcasing the features, showcasing its ability in trees, so that tutorials, they're definitely coming. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's probably as good as any way to maintain or to get those. And you can always make suggestions. We definitely have a list a mile long, I'm sure. Well, Pat does. And but we'll always take suggestions on things we can help with. I guess the short answer, GCP stuff, definitely have it for RS3 and RS2 somewhere. Pat just put that link up. And then RS4 tutorials will come. We'll see. It's definitely going to be tree canopy focused to some degree. I don't know if it's going to be GCP focused, but or if there will be anything focused on GCPs. I would probably, just because we have such a good customer base of drone guys, that I would think that we'll probably end up doing it. We'll see. But definitely follow our YouTube, and you'll see the latest and make suggestions.
Sounds good. I'll reach out.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
In terms of software, do you think there's going to be any new features added in the upcoming months this year?
New features on what? Sorry, Abdul.
Well, obviously there's going to be features for the new units, but overall abilities to do on site or in the field using Emlid Flow. Anything coming up? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, I don't know what all I can give away, if anything, but or what I can say, I'll say is they're pushing hard on Emlid Flow. They've done a lot to get to. They're finally at like a position where they've got most of the basics of what they want to accomplish. So it's they want to solve problems, and it doesn't mean it's going to be turned into Field Genius or Carlson software that's all fully featured and can do everything. But it means that they're going to solve the core problem that Field Genius does, and then they're going to go and do some other things. Like, for instance, there are beta testers out there that are looking at collaboration between a better collaboration between field guys. So if you have 10 field guys and you have one office guy that really like puts out projects, sets up projects for you, and manages all that, like there's a management software with Flow that they're definitely have some guys on a beta for. I hope that is something that gets released imminently. But yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff is for sure coming. They got this hardware that was a long time coming, but they definitely want to. It's a step up in a lot of ways in terms of just functions, and it has everything everybody else does now, in terms of visual cameras. Even the tilt works really well, sees all the satellites and the signals. So it's like they've got everything there, and they want to work on software, and they want to do things that people aren't doing, and they want to solve problems. They want to go beyond that, and the software is the way to do it. So they're definitely focused there. There's a lot coming there, I'm sure. I don't know the full roadmap, but I've seen enough. It's always encouraging. Like I said, maybe a month or two ago, we went to Budapest, and they had they were introducing a lot of new stuff for the dealer conference. And it's always encouraging to just see what they're thinking about and see why they're thinking that way. And it's like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, and we're excited for the future of what Emlid has, hardware, obviously, and we're excited on the software side too. It's going to be interesting to see, to see, not necessarily see how other people adapt, but it'll be interesting to see, how much easier we make lives easier for, whatever these weird different industries we get into. So there's all these niche things that that we touch on, and they're solving a lot of these problems and trying to make things easier and not just copy other GNSS software. They're not copycatting. They're just trying to keep things easy and add things that'll keep things easy instead of just being one big bulky I hate to say bulky software, but you pick up Carlson or any Carlson magnet field, and you might be overwhelmed by what's in it because there's just a lot you don't need. But I think they've done a pretty good job with Emlid Flow. Number one, of course they're going to do a good job because there hasn't been that many features to get in the way. But now that there are more and more features, that still seems, at least from our perspective, still like a simple software. So that's, they definitely want to keep things simple and solve big problems, or solve problems big and small with new features.
Yeah, that's great because the software is what really matters in the field. And like you said, there's many applications for it, and it's impossible to meet them all.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's like, the other thing that they say, or sort of the mentality is like, okay, we have, we love surveyors. Surveyors are great. They're great customers. They do a lot. They are obviously stretched thin in the U.S. everywhere. They just are. There's not a lot of them. Average age is older. Like there's not many out there. So more and more people just are trying to come in house where they have to get it done, or whatever. Or you're a surveyor and you want to be more efficient, whatever it is. But ultimately, it's like, hey, part of what they're trying to do is serve the people who are like, hey, I want to get into this, but I'm not a surveyor. So that's still the focus, is serving those people and making it easy, but really expanding on that. So we'll see what it brings, see if they can do it. I think they can. They do seem like they have their finger on the pulse of this GPS world for sure. Cool. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to to wind it down, feel free to call us if you want to chat about anything. Email, of course, all of that. We really appreciate people jumping on and listening to what we got to say, and hopefully it's been worthwhile for you guys. Yeah, like I said, just reach out. We're always here, support or sales or whoever. Somebody will pick up the phone and talk to you about your Emlid questions for sure. So thanks again, guys, and hopefully we'll talk soon.